Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everybody. Selamat sore, good afternoon, good evening. It is so wonderful to have you all here for the very first IMEP 2025 online session. Although to be honest, it feels like you've all been part of the program for quite some time already. Thank you all so much for the work that you have done to help us prepare for today. It has been wonderful to be in touch with you all, and it is really exciting to finally have us all here together. So as you know already, my name is Brenna, and together with Rowan, we will be your program leaders and hosts throughout your IMEP journey for this year, inshallah. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce our Indonesian delegates in particular to an Australian tradition that we have, which is to acknowledge and pay respects to the Indigenous or First Nations people of the lands on which we all live, the original custodians of the lands where we all gather and are joining from today. So for myself and Rowan, we live in southeast Melbourne, which is the land of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. And so we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands from which we are all joining, and to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And we would also like to warmly welcome Uncle Andrew Gardner and any other First Nation guests who may be present with us here today. And Rowan, if you'd like to say hello as
Thank
well.
you, Brina. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Hello.
I'd also like to welcome everyone and acknowledge and pay my respects to Uncle Andrew and also the traditional owners of the Bunurong people here in southeast Melbourne, where we are. And we're, as Brina said, we're both very excited to kick off the IMEP for 2025. So it just falls to me to give you a few small housekeeping matters. So as you can see, we do record our AIMEP sessions, and this is all for internal use. It won't be shared publicly, or we won't be putting them up on YouTube or anything like that. But we just want to make sure that you know that the breakout rooms are never recorded, and also we don't share any audio. So, we do ask that you also refrain from recording any audio. So that everyone can feel comfortable and it can be a real space for a really, robust discussion, inshallah. The second thing is, one thing we always encourage everyone to do at the start of every session is to invite you to change your Zoom name so it shows your name and where you're from. I know sometimes we're sort of borrowing Zoom accounts, so it's great to just reset as we join in and rename it, and also to say where you're from, where you're located at the moment, so that our guest speakers and we can all see where each other is joining from today and during our IMEP program. And then finally, if you're able to, we'd like to invite you to turn your cameras on so we can all see each other. The program's all about creating connections, so it's great to put a face to your names. Of course, if you have connection issues, feel free to keep it off, but we really appreciate it if you are able to, as much as you can. So back to you, Britta.
Okay. So back to me. We do normally take turns, but for the first one, we both want to be able to speak to you. So we'll be swapping between each other. So yeah, I mean, Rowan and I have both had the immense pleasure of meeting each of you during our interviews over the past couple of months now. And it's so wonderful for us to be able to gather you all here together today. So as some of you are probably already aware, the IMEP is in its 23rd year, which is fantastic. And we're so glad that the Australia-Indonesia Institute has supported us over all of that time. And alhamdulillah, for Rowan and myself, no matter how many times we do this, we always feel an enormous sense of privilege to be able to share this space with all of you and to be able to go on this journey together with such an inspiring and diverse group of young leaders. So as I'm sure some of you will have already noticed from the brief bios that we sent around, it wasn't easy to make your bios brief because so many of you have already done so many things. You're making incredible contributions to your communities. And in so many ways, you really represent the best of the future for both of our nations, and inshallah also represent the strength of the future relationships between communities across both of our countries that we hope will be a product of your time together on this program. So thank you all for choosing to be a part of this journey together with us. And perhaps most importantly, for gifting both us and your fellow delegates that most valuable and precious of gifts, which is your time and your attention. We know how busy you all are, and so being able to devote your time to this program really is something that we are very grateful for, and we really look forward to. So yeah, we look forward to the new connections that we will see, the new insights that we will hear, and really probably more so than anything else, the new friendships that we will be privileged to see form and grow and blossom as you guys journey together over the weeks and months to come, inshallah. So after acknowledging all of you, I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge a very important group of people. And Rowan, if you could help me with some spotlighting. I'd like to acknowledge our fantastic Mosaic Connections team, without whom this program would not be possible. So firstly, Mba Ulfa, our amazing program officer, who many of you have been in contact with already, who does an incredible job of handling communications and logistics for everything across the program. But Nurul, our amazing communications officer, who has done an incredible job. Every document that you see that looks good, that's entirely But Nurul's work. And also Farhana, I'm not sure if she's been able to log on just yet, but Farhana is our content producer who does an amazing job working together with Mbat Nurul to create all of the fantastic social media content and reels that you'll be seeing throughout the program. So thank you to all of you for being such valuable members of our team. And a small little side note, this is perhaps the first cultural learning point. For our Australian delegates, you might have noticed I used the word Mba before Ulfa and Nurul's names. So Mba is an Indonesian word which means big sister. So it's a word that you can use when speaking to friends for females. And I'm sure that our Indonesian delegates will also introduce you to some other words that you can use for men or from other parts of Indonesia, because Indonesia is really diverse and the terms vary from place to place. So anyway, small aside there. Now, before we move to our guest speakers, who we're very honoured to have with us here today, we just wanted to share a little bit about the backstory of how we got here and how we came to have a hybrid program, because for most of the IMEP's history, it has been in person and not had the online component. So basically, if we all go back to COVID, which I'm sure we remember as a time when everything had to go online, we did put a lot of thought and effort into curating the online experience, but to be honest, we had no idea how it was going to go. And then what we found, because this was the first time we had Indonesians and Australians doing the program together, and we were blown away by the online aspect of the program, the level of interaction, the depth of the exchanges, and the strength of the relationships that were able to be formed at that point in time between people who didn't have the chance to meet in person. It was really quite incredible. And so yeah, so that was a unique aspect of the program at that point, and it's something that we really felt was a really important part to maintain moving forward. And we're very grateful that the Australia-Indonesia Institute, Lydia and her team also agreed. And so now we're really excited to have a hybrid program, because really it's just strengthened what is at the heart of the AIMEP, which is really building those personal connections and really deep understanding. So there's actually an Indonesian phrase, which is tak kenal maka tak sayang, which basically means that in order to feel affection and empathy for someone, you really need to get to know them properly first. And so that is why you're all here. For the online component of the program, where you'll have a chance not only to learn from the amazing expert speakers that we have lined up, but to also really get to know one another. And what we invite you to do is to share, really honest and sincere reflections. And perhaps most importantly, just your lived experience. You're all from such different and diverse communities. That's what we invite you to bring. And that's what, inshallah, we hope will form the foundation of the long lasting human connections and friendships that we aim to foster through the program. And yeah, we personally think that that's one of the most powerful ways to create real and lasting understanding between both our countries. So to start us off today, we have some wonderful guest speakers who are here to join us in welcoming you all to the program. So I'm going to hand over to Rowan to introduce our first guest for you tonight.
Thank you, Bruno. We're very pleased to invite, first of all, to address you and welcome you all, the chair of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, which is the funding body for the AIMEP, Ms. Lydia Santoso. Some of you will have met Bu Lydia already in your interviews, but if you haven't, Lydia is the chair of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, which is an institute of Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. And she's been on the board of that institute since 2015. And she is one of a small number of incredible individuals who's making a huge impact in strengthening Australia-Indonesia relations. So Lydia is former vice president of the Australia-Indonesia Association. She's chair of the New South Wales Australia-Indonesia Business Council. And she's also a board member of ACICIS, which is a consortium of universities which gives opportunities for Australians to study in Indonesia. So, and when she's not strengthening the relationship between our two countries, she is also a lawyer and a partner at Nicholas George Lawyers in Sydney. So please welcome Miss Lydia Santoso.
Oh, thank you, Rowan. Hello, everybody. Selamat malam. It's so lovely to be here tonight. I'd first like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I sit at today. And I'd like to pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us this evening, and including Pat Andrew. So welcome everybody. As we embark on this important dialogue between Australia and Indonesia, may we carry with us the spirit of respect, of listening and learning that has guided First Nations cultures for tens of thousands of years. Assalamualaikum, selamat malam, a warm welcome to you all. It is my absolute honor to officially welcome you to the launch of the AIMEP 2025 program, which, as Rowan had mentioned, is a flagship initiative of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, and which I'm very proud to be chair of, and my long tenure on the board. It's actually something that I absolutely love, and it is my honor to be here tonight. What began over 23 years ago now, 23rd year, as a pure interfaith exchange has grown into something far deeper. AIMEP has evolved into a space for honest, respectful, and transformative conversations, not only across faiths, but across sectors, generations, and lived experiences. This year's delegates include emerging leaders, activists, educators, creatives, entrepreneurs, public servants, and change makers, both from Australia and Indonesia. You represent the diversity and the depth of our two nations, and your work reflects a shared commitment to inclusion, understanding, and community building. This year's program includes a visit to Makassar in South Sulawesi, a city that shares an incredible history with Australia. Many of you may or may not know, but the long before Federation of Australia, the Makasan traders sailed to Northern Australia and built peaceful relationships with Aboriginal communities based on mutual respect, exchange, and coexistence. And in a way, AIMEP continues that tradition of deepening the people-to-people ties that defines our bilateral relationship. Your Australian visit will take you to Melbourne and to Sydney, where you'll engage with diverse communities, explore the complexity of modern Australia, and reflect on shared challenges and opportunities that unite us. Over the coming weeks, Brina has mentioned this, but you'll explore pressing issues, youth empowerment, mental health, faith and values in public life, gender equality, and social justice. But most importantly, you'll build lasting friendships and networks that will live on long after this program ends. One of the special things about AIMEP is the alumni community, and I've had the privilege of sharing in some events, alumni events, and honestly, the camaraderie and the longevity that continues on in the alumni program is something just truly is so special. I wanted to acknowledge to all of our delegates that this is more than just an exchange. You are part of a flagship program that shapes the future of Australian-Indian relations. You are an AIMEPer and you are forevermore within the AIMEP family. Your voices matter, your ideas matter, and your presence here matters. So on behalf of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, I would like to first of all thank our wonderful program managers, Rowan and Brina, and the entire team at Mosaic Connections. You are going to be spending a lot of time with Rowan and Brina, and you will understand what incredible people Rowan and Brina are, and are just so fitting to be running this important and unique program. I also wanted to thank our selection panel. So Brina talked about the difficulty of shortening your bios. Imagine the difficulty of coming up with the final selection of the delegates. This year we received an incredible number of applications, a record in fact, and it was just extremely difficult and so competitive to get down to the final selection. So congratulations to you all for getting this far. Like to acknowledge Professor Greg Feely, who was the convener of the panel, Iburita, Pak Hasda, and Zulfa, who were on both Australian selection and the Indonesian selection panels, and Rowan and Brina as well. It's just the strength of the applications and the record number of applications is just a testament to the strength and breadth of this program. And without the team of Mosaic and the selection panel, this program just would not be possible. I want to say to each of you, I wish you a transformative, inspiring, and unforgettable journey in AIMEP 2025, and it is my great pleasure to officially welcome you all to the kickoff of AIMEP 2025. And terima kasih, selamat menikmati program AIMEP. I hope you enjoy the program. I have met some of you at the interviews, but I look forward to meeting each and one of you in person and cannot wait to see how your journey evolves on this incredible program. So, terima kasih banyak sekali. Assalamualaikum. Selamat malam. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words, Lydia, and thank you as well for acknowledging the selection panel, which you were part of for both countries. It really was. It was a privilege. It was a wonderful thing to do, but it was also a very difficult thing to do. And we were very, very fortunate to have such a wonderful selection team with us who really put so much thought and effort into really engaging with all of you as sincerely and deeply as we possibly could in a short interview time to really, do our best to have a group here who we really look forward to engaging with and having you engage with each other. So we're now going to present a couple of short videos of welcome from diplomatic representatives in both of our countries. We're very pleased to start with a short video welcome from Indonesia's ambassador to Australia, His Excellency Dr. Siswo Pramono. As an introduction, Ambassador Siswo has been Indonesia's ambassador to Australia since 2021. And prior to that, he was Director General for Research and Policy Development in Indonesia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And he was also Deputy Ambassador to Germany. Pak Siswo has degrees from Airlangga University in Surabaya, Monash University in Melbourne, and also the Australian National University in Canberra. And we are very grateful to him for taking the time to provide us with a warm message of welcome to all of you today.
Mbak Lydia Santoso, Chair of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, Uncle Andrew Hassan Gardiner, the elder from Wurundjeri, Waiburung Nation in Victoria, Rowan Gold and Brina Rafferty Brown as co-founder of Mosaic Connection, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sorry,
My
Ro,
sincere
could you pause for
gratitude
a second?
goes to the Australia.
Yeah, it's all dropped off. I can't see or hear anything.
Are other people able to hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
Can hear.
Sorry? Can anyone other than Uncle Andrew
okay?
not hear at the moment?
I can hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I'll just finish.
All right, maybe we'll try it again.
Gratitude goes to the Australia-Indonesia Institute. Australia-Indonesia Institute has nurtured AIMEP for almost 23 years. Yeah? AIMEP is devoted to strengthen people-to-people connectivity between Indonesian and Australian Muslim. Very important connectivity. Indonesia is a democracy with the largest Muslim population in the world. Like Indonesia, Australia is also a multicultural country, a melting pot society. As democracies, both Indonesia and Australia always support the aspiration of their people, promote, support. Yeah, I firmly believe that diversity is not a source of divisions, but source of strength. Country benefit, for instance, from biodiversity. Country also benefit from cultural diversity. All of this diversity enrich that country. This diversity can only be meaningful if it promotes unity. And unity is only possible through tolerance. Tolerance is fundamental for building a peaceful and harmonious relation among members of society and among societies with other society. Religious scholars play a crucial role in promoting peace. Grassroots education on religious tolerance can be more effectively delivered through the guidance of an open mind and wise religious figures. That is why I believe the Australia-Indonesia Muslim Action Program is strategically important. I hope that through AIMEP, participants will not only gain new knowledge, but also building networking. Each participants can become ambassadors of peace, who are able to turn differences into shared strength. Yeah. I wish you every success with this very important AIMEP program. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Pak Siswo and his team at the Indonesian Embassy for that very positive message. And as you can see, Pak Siswo and his team are very supportive of the program and have been over the years. And we're looking forward to inviting representatives from the embassy and also the consulates general in Sydney and Melbourne to join our welcome dinners in the in-person events in Australia as well. So we hope that you'll have a chance to meet some of them there, inshallah. So now we'd like to present a short video from Bat Siswa's counterpart, Australian Ambassador Rod Brazier, who's Australia's current ambassador to Indonesia. Ambassador Brazier has been Australia's High Commissioner to the Solomon Islands, and he was most recently Deputy Secretary Development, Multilateral and Europe Group within the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. He's also an Indonesian speaker, and we hope that many of you may also have the opportunity to meet him in person, either as part of this year's program in Indonesia or at a future alumni event hosted by the Embassy, where AIMEP alumni are often invited as part of the global Australian alumni community. So thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and warm greetings to you all. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge His Excellency Dr. Siswa Pramono, Indonesian Ambassador to Australia, the Chair and Board members of the Australia-Indonesia Institute, Rowan and Bryna from Mosaic Connections. Thank you for your continued support and leadership of this important program. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2025 Australia-Indonesia Muslim Exchange Program, or AIMEP. Now in its 23rd year, AIMEP is a flagship initiative of the Australian Government's Australia-Indonesia Institute. The Australia-Indonesia relationship is grounded in a long history of friendship between our people and governments. We were proud to be among Indonesia's strongest supporters during its struggle for independence. More than 75 years later, people-to-people connections remain at the heart of our relationship. AIMEP exemplifies these ties, fosters friendships, understanding, and collaboration among emerging Muslim leaders from both countries. It plays a vital role in strengthening connections between our people, and its impact continues to grow. You will join over 300 alumni of change makers and community leaders in a thriving network that spans both nations. This year, we received over 1,000 applications, a record number from passionate and talented individuals across Australia and Indonesia. To the 19 successful delegates, congratulations. You represent the best of our two nations' future leadership. Over the next month, you'll embark on an enriching online journey together, followed by in-person exchanges. Australian delegates will visit Jakarta and Makassar in September, and Indonesian delegates will travel to Melbourne and Sydney in October. I encourage you to embrace every moment, share your stories, really listen, and build lasting connections. You are not just participants, you are ambassadors of understanding, respect, and collaboration. On behalf of the Australian Government, I wish you all the very best for this exciting journey ahead. Wassalamu alaikum.
Okay, and thank you to His Excellency and their Excellencies, in fact, for their very kind messages. We'd now like to move to our final guest speaker for this evening, Uncle Andrew Hassan Gardner, who is an elder of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people in now what is known as the state of Victoria. Uncle Andrew is one of the first elected members of the First Peoples Assembly in the state of Victoria, and as an Aboriginal elder, he's very knowledgeable about the historical and contemporary culture and struggles of Australia's Indigenous peoples, including their long relationship with Indonesia. It's an honour to have Uncle Andrew with us today, and we're privileged that he's here to welcome you all, not only as an Indigenous Australia, but also as a Muslim. Welcome, Uncle Andrew.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Salam.
Yeah, my name's Andrew Hassan in the middle, gardener, and a Wurundjeri man, an elder with the Wurundjeri people of the Wurrung speaking. So I'm Aboriginal Muslim Australian since 1995. It's a pleasure for me to be here this evening to do Welcome to Country for AIMEP 2025. Thank you for the invitation to come back and meet you all in person. We congratulate the efforts of Bruno and Rowan and their team at Mosaic for driving this program and making all the necessary arrangements. It's always growing from strength to strength. As you are beneficiaries of this experience from your communities, we hope, inshallah, that you have profound connections and drive those opportunities into the future. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Lydia Santoso, Ambassador Ramona, and Mr. Rod Brazier. The connection with Macassar fishermen along the northern coast of our, what we now call Australia, but of the Yolngu people in our northern lands, as far back as the late 1500s. Early contact Muslims predate the arrival of James Cook. Respect forged over long-standing trade. Those communities still have strong connections to today. The documentary film Before 1770 is being shown again in cinemas, and so if you can get along to see that, it'd be really good, because it actually it's a depiction of what we just spoke about. It's a clear reflection of Muslim contact, respectful Muslim contact from an Aboriginal and a Muslim lens. From a traditional owner perspective, in Melbourne, there were 6 clan groups that made up the Wurrung people. We had an oral history passed down from generation to generation. We believe in what our ancestors and our elders tell us as being the truth, because we didn't have that written history for fact checking. So we had elders, old people with really strong minds, really strong memories that consistently provided advice. Everything was shared around a campfire through stories. So that continued narrative, reinforcing with younger people, passing information on to people, just makes it profound. Our traditional country in one of those stories is from the Werribee River in the west, north along its flows to its headwater in the Great Dividing Range, and then easterly across to Mount Borbor, then south through Bunyip, and then westerly across to Mordialloc Creek. Those coming to Melbourne a little bit later in the year, you'll be able to understand what that dimension is. And so Aboriginal people didn't own land. We were custodians of land. The land was a bit like our mother. A lot of other traditional owner groups around the world all say the similar thing. It cares for us, it gives us resources like food and shelter, etc. These were provided to our ancestors for thousands of years. We took care of the land and the waterways, only using what we needed. And it took care of us. So from the tips of the leaves of the trees to the roots in the ground, we share our country with everybody today. For over 65,000 years, it should be noted, we have occupied this ancient landscape. We are one of the longest living continuous cultures in the world. It's something Australia and now you can be appreciative of. In 2025, a statewide treaty is being negotiated with the state of Victoria for all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples living here. This has enabled over 65 negotiations to happen to date since November 2024. We seek to have an agreed initial treaty signed off in December 2025 with a really significant cultural event to mark that sign-off. It'll be a landmark because it'll be the first one in Victoria and in Australia. Australia, it should be noted, is the only nation in the Commonwealth that hasn't got a treaty with its Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the traditional lands in which we gather, our land, our sky, our water country. And we pay our respects to our elders, past, present, and emerging, as they are our knowledge holders, our cultural authority, and are givers of wisdom. People we always ask information from. In Islam, we call that shura. So in our traditional language, I say womanjika. Womanjika means welcome in a general term, or come with purpose. Come with purpose. So womanjika yiman kundi bik Wurundjeri Wurrung Balak means welcome to the traditional country of the Wurundjeri clans, the Wurrung people. Nungojin, thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Uncle Andrew, as a cultural authority and a giver of wisdom for being here tonight, for giving us that very gracious welcome and that important reminder about Australia's history. You briefly alluded to and touched on, and I hope you will have a chance to speak more with our delegates as they when they visit Australia about the unfinished business that needs to be done in Bahasa Indonesia. We might call it masih ada PR. We still have homework is the way that you might say it in Indonesian. So thank you so much for welcoming us, and we hope that many of our delegates can be part of this process of unfinished healing, which is so urgently needed. So I'd now like to ask our, before our guest speakers have to go, I would now like to, another very important tradition in Indonesia and sometimes in Australia is to have a group photo at every available opportunity, which I think our Australian delegates will quickly realize is every available opportunity. So we'd now like to do that. If possible, if you'd like to just, briefly have your cameras on if they're not on already. But Ulfa, would you be able to do the honors for us, please?
All right. Yes, please give us your best smiles. All right. Okay, everyone. 1, 2, 3. All right. Again, one more. 1, 2, 3.
I only have one smile.
One smile.
I hope it's a good one.
One more.
Okay.
All
Yep. And yeah, an action shot or something.
All right.
What do you call this?
Cheers. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ulfa. Yeah, thank you so much again to our guest speakers, and we look forward to seeing you both in the in-person component for our programs. Yeah, and if everyone, I'd like everyone to, if you'd like to, thank our guest speakers in the chat, and hopefully we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uncle
Thank
Andrew.
Bye, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.
Terima kasih.
Okay.
Good view.
All right. So yeah, that concludes the first part of our session, which is the formal welcoming, which was wonderful to do, but we're really keen to get on to the second part as well, which is where we're going to give you just a little bit more of an overview of the online part of the program in particular. But then most importantly, we'll be starting the process of you guys actually getting to know one another and also setting our intentions for the journey ahead, inshallah. So as I'm speaking, if any questions do come up that you might have about the program or about anything tonight, feel free to share them in the chat and we can address those questions. But yes, so first up, we've already explained a fair amount of this, but the AIMEP program this year is split in 2 sections. The first will be the online program, and then later the 2 in-person visit programs. So the online program will run over 5 weeks. We'll have either 2 or 3 sessions each week, depending on the week, which is always at the same time. So that's 4 p.m. waktu Indonesia Barat, 5 p.m. in central Indonesia or in Perth, and 7 p.m. in Sydney or Melbourne. And what we tend to find is that after a few sessions, most people start referring to this as AIMEP time. So yes. Each session has the same general format. We usually start with brief presentations from 2 guest speakers. In most sessions, there will be 1 Indonesian and 1 Australian guest speaker. And we intentionally keep this part of the session quite brief, so that we can maximize the amount of time we have for question and answer, which is when we open up the floor to all of you, the delegates, for the most significant part of and most important part, I think, of the time that you have with the guest speakers. This is when we invite you to write your questions in the chat. And we then invite you to ask your question live on camera directly to our guest speakers. We've done this intentionally to try and keep the sessions as interactive as we can. We really don't want them to be a lecture. You can do a university degree if you'd like a lecture. You know, the AIMEP program is really meant to be an opportunity for interaction. So the way we think of it is that we're recognizing, you know, the reason that you all got in is because we're recognizing the experience you all have, the curiosity that you're bringing to the program. And so that's why we focus the majority of our time on questions that you would like to ask, which then guides our guest speakers to talk about the topics and the issues that are either most important to you, or just of most interest to you. And then after the speaker section, we have a breakout room section, which I'll now invite Rowan to explain a little bit more to you.
Okay, so yeah, so after the speakers segment and the Q&A, we then move to the, we like to think it's the most important part of the session, which is the breakout rooms. And that's your chance to hear each other's perspectives. So what did you think, and how does your experience, is it similar or different to what the speaker had to say? Or maybe you have a particular, you know, community experience or something you'd like to share. So this is really the heart of the program. So we really ask everyone to be present for them and able to participate fully, if possible. The speakers are, you know, they're all really good and amazing, actually, people in their own right, and we'll learn a lot from them. But the most important part of the program is for you to be able to speak to each other and learn each other's experiences and perspectives, and from your own communities and your own, you know, parts of the very big countries that we all come from. And there's just a small point about, again, we ask that no one records any audio from the breakout rooms so that, you know, we all feel comfortable speaking, but you're more than welcome to take screenshots or even short sort of motion recordings as long as there's no sound. So yeah, I'll ask Brenna to explain WhatsApp, which is our communication medium for the program.
Okay. So some of you will have already seen in the message that Mbak Ulfa sent you earlier, or I believe it's also in the chat, that the main mode of communication we're going to be using this year is WhatsApp, which I'm sure that all of you are probably already very familiar with. So if you haven't had a chance to click on the invitation link, it would be great if you can do that sometime tonight. So within that, we've created a WhatsApp community, which some of you may have had experience with or perhaps not, but basically it means that there'll be a couple of different channels within the group. We'll have a core announcement channel where our Mosaic team will send you updates about upcoming sessions or key resources. So that's where all the important announcements will be. Aside from that, we will also have a general chat community channel where you're very welcome and in fact encouraged to connect with each other, to chat. Look, it could be your reflections on the sessions that we have. It could also be your favorite foods. Basically, that is a space that will grow and develop in response to, in whatever way you as a community would like it to develop. Just a warning, Indonesians generally have a very high tolerance level for WhatsApp. Indonesians know how to have a good, active WhatsApp channel. So we're hoping that our Australian delegates will take on the challenge of keeping up. But yeah, we hope it will be a space where you can really just engage with each other in a way that's, complements the way that you'll also be engaging through the Zoom sessions. So in addition to those two groups, we have the option of creating smaller subgroups. So that will depend again on what comes out of this particular unique group this year. It could be something like a book club or a food club where you want to share photos or recipes and things like that. If a particular topic becomes especially busy in the main group, then we might suggest moving that to its own channel where you can keep speaking. I know that there's a few people this year who are particularly interested in things like Maulid celebrations or music. So, that could potentially be another channel. Basically, we'll just see how the group develops. And the idea is that we can create subgroups in response. It will be guided by whatever resonates most and interests all of you most as a group. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to join yet, it would be great if you could do that at some point today. And now I'll hand back to Rowan.
Okay, all right. So now we will finish talking. So that you've been very patient with us. We don't usually talk for this long, as you'll see. But now this is when we get to meet each other. So Mbak Ulfa or Mbak Nurul is going to set up 4 breakout rooms. And we'll allocate everyone, and there'll be a pop-up, and you'll be able to join the breakout room. And when we go in, we'd like you all to take a moment to just share 3 things about yourself. So Mbak Ulfa has given the guiding kind of points in the chat there. So the first thing is brief introduction for yourself, where you're from, what you do. Number 2 is 1 fun fact about yourself, or maybe 2 short ones. And finally, if there's time, what you most hope to get out of the AIMEP this year. Now, we have, now I think we were kind of wrangling on how much time. So I think we gave sort of 18 to 20 minutes. And that's about sort of 4 minutes per person. So hopefully there's enough time. Just for the fun fact, it can be something simple, but just something people might not guess if they didn't know you, and hopefully something you haven't already shared in your profiles. So for example, I'll share a fun fact. Well, I'll share 2 fun facts. One is I'm half Indonesian on my mother's side. So my mom comes from West Sumatra, which is one of the biggest matrilineal cultures, the Minangkabau people. And another one is that I'm a sort of amateur musician. I like playing piano and guitar. And if anyone else does, we can hang out and have a geeky music chat anytime you like. So anyway, feel free to share anything you like. It can be personal or just what you had for breakfast, or So so 1 fun fact, what you're hoping to get out of the IMEP, and also just a brief who I am. So we're going to have Brina, is it 18 or 20? I need guidance here. I think we were going to see how we're going. Let's say 20 minutes for now. I'll ask, so Mbak Ulfa will give a little 1-minute warning, which you'll see pop up. So when the breakout room opens, please click the join button. Let us know if you have any problems. So yeah, I hope there was enough time. We can never tell with the breakout rooms. Usually once we get into the actual speaker sessions, people there's never enough time in the breakout rooms, but always the first one, you never know quite how much time you need. But I hope it was enough time to at least share a little bit introduction. There will be another one later, so you can pick up where you left off. But usually what we try and do is ask people to share just a highlight or 2, just kind of bring some of the atmosphere back into our main room. But obviously don't share anything too personal. But was there anything that you'd like to share, maybe from yourself, something fun and interesting or surprising that you learned out of those rooms today? Perhaps anyone from, let's say, room 1.
So just in case you don't remember, in room 1 was Bani, Hibat, Ismi, Juliana, and Kudrat.
Any interesting insights? If not, any of the other rooms who'd like to share something that you learned that was interesting, or maybe something from yourself?
No, hang on. There has to be something fun that happened in room 1.
Perhaps it was all very personal. So
Yeah, I
Right,
think
there we
so.
go.
What
That's
happened was when we got the 5-minute warning, then I was the last one to speak. I thought I only had like 30 seconds, so I was speaking very, very fast, and then I was like, it has to be something wrong. It's a lot more than 5 minutes now. Um, that was fun, but it was good to know one another. It's very interesting. Everyone is very inspiring. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great program for us.
thanks very much, Kudrat. And yeah, feel free, anyone else to share. Were they sort of, was it sort of, was everyone else a little bit rushed, or did you all have plenty of time?
maybe don't share that bit with us, but was there
I
actually
think I learned like there's Sasakness and Javanese's, and like I was like, what is this? And Ridwan, I just have to do a call out because this man, I think he's Indonesian inside because I was educated by Indonesia by him. So that was really fun. And yeah, it was really, really cool to see. And yeah, so that was interesting
yeah,
for room 3.
Cool.
cool. No, that sounds excellent. Yeah, I think there's around about 500 different languages spoken in Indonesia. So there you go. That can be your IMEP challenge.
Pick
A
one.
word, a word from each language.
All
Yeah.
right. Perhaps before we do the last one, did anyone learn anything interesting about the other person's country besides the languages, actually? So, not people, individual people, but anybody learn anything interesting about Australia that you weren't?
I learned about the Pesantren hat that Mas where is he now?
Very
Okay.
nice. Mas Fatur. Yeah.
Yes, is wearing, and initially I thought those were like gemstones or something, but I think it's more respectful than that. It's the Pesantren hat, and they get in trouble if they don't wear it. So
Fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. So for anyone who doesn't know yet, the word pesantren means Islamic boarding school in Indonesia. So yeah, absolutely. You'll be learning a lot about that. So that's great. You've got a bit of an introduction already. So sorry that I was kicked off Zoom when you first came out of the breakout rooms, but Ro, should I introduce the
Yes.
next bit? Yeah, okay. So that was kind of a getting to know one another, bit of a breakout together. So one thing that came through in the notes that you guys all sent us, that about what you were hoping to get out of the program, the things that we spoke to you about in the interviews as well. A lot of you were talking about the connections that you would like to create, the deeper understandings that you would like to have, and the fact that you're really looking forward to having good, meaningful conversations, getting beyond just day-to-day conversations to things that are really meaningful, and building understanding through that connection. And so absolutely 100%, that is also what we would love for you to get out of the program. And to support that, what we're going to do in a moment is invite you all to go back into the same breakout rooms. But this time we're going to introduce a Google slide that it would be great if you could click on before going into the group. And on that slide, we'd like you to find the number for your breakout room. So hopefully you can see that when you go in. And just nominate someone, or you can all, in some form, we'd like you to write some notes on that Google slide to just reflect on 2 questions. So one is, during the IMEP, what is most important for you personally, so that you can feel heard and respected, and feel like your contributions are valued. And then the other question is, what do you feel like you can personally do so that commit to doing yourself, so that this will happen for yourself and others during the program. The reason that we ask you to write it down in the Google slide is because after this session, our team will put those responses together and we'll share them back to you guys so that you can have an awareness of what people in other groups have also said they would most appreciate to help them feel fully able to participate and contribute in the discussions. Yeah, and so inshallah we will then share those back to you after today's session. But I believe Ma'ulfa has shared those questions in the chat. So we'll now reopen the breakout rooms. We'll give you about 15 minutes. When it comes up with the 5-minute warning, it means you've got 5 more minutes.
We'll try and
And
get
then
it
you'll
right
get
this
a
time.
you'll get a little 1-minute warning at the end, which is the countdown to when the groups
Does
will
everyone
break
know
down.
what number their breakout room is, so you know which slide to go through to for your room? It should say
I
somewhere
think
room
people
1,
can
room
see.
2, room 3, room 4. Okay, anyway, if you can't see it, let us know.
Just
But,
type somewhere that some other group doesn't seem to be typing.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
everyone. So yeah, please do reflect on those questions. And if you have if anything comes up, you can send us a WhatsApp if there's anything that doesn't seem clear. But yeah, if we could open the breakout rooms.
Yep. And they're already open, so
Yep, excellent.
everyone can see that. And 15. I'm closing rooms.
Ole, yeah. They're all still speaking. That's good.
Everyone's speaking at the same time. It's the most efficient way to use the time. Just everyone just talk over the top of each other. Not sure if that really fits with the ethos.
Hey, Assalamualaikum, Kudrat.
Walaikum salam.
Here we go.
I saw group 1.
Out.
That was group 1. All the microphones went on all at the same time. I think that was just like the most efficient way to get your points across.
That's right. We had a good conversation. I think because we had one person writing the answer and the rest of us having a discussion, worked out well.
Yeah, no, excellent. Yeah, we can't hear what any of you are saying in your breakout rooms, but we can see the little microphones.
Because we're talking about you all.
Oh,
Like, did you see Rowan? Did you see Renan? No, I'm just kidding.
Can you see our microphones? Because that would be. Anyway.
I don't think they're interested in our microphones. Really.
I don't think we looked,
They're not very
to be
interesting.
fair.
You guys giving us limited access.
Yeah, I don't think I think you have to go into the chat feature. Oh, no. Oops, that's wrong. And then it'll show you whose microphones are switched on or off.
Oh, well, there you go. Yep.
Or something like that, or the participants, like when you look at, but unless you're looking at it, you wouldn't.
Yes, that's all right. You guys get to actually join in the interesting conversation. We just watch your microphones. Thank you guys for having some very lively breakout room discussions. We could see you all, as we've just said, chatting away on your microphones there. But yeah, look, it means a lot to us that you're engaging with these questions and with this topic right from the get-go of the program, inshallah, so that we can really set our intentions to create the space that we want to travel in together. So yeah, I just wanted to start off by inviting if anyone would like to report back from their group some of the main points. I mean, we will be sharing all of these points with each other. So yeah, if there's any points you'd like to share from the discussion that you had, I can pick a room if we like. Maybe room 2. There was Mas Fatur, Kak Diajeng, Iman, Luke, and Sami. If someone wanted to, this is the eternal question of IMEP. Who speaks from the group? Silakan,
I'm
Kak
really
Sami.
glad to see that everyone is very polite. It's fantastic.
Sami, I think I saw you unmute, so you're welcome to.
All right, thank you, Bu Brina, for the opportunity. I'm audible, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right, so I met Luke and also Iman and Mbak Diajeng and also Pak Fatur in our group. So I think based on our discussion, there are a lot of lessons learned that I got from my fellows, and especially related to what things, the most important things that we want to emphasize in this program and about how to feel heard and also respected. And I will say that the number one is everyone has the same opportunity to share their perspective here, no matter what about their stories, their backgrounds. So I think it's in line also with be an active listener in our discussion. And then, of course, one thing that I want to emphasize based on Papa to say that we need to foster inclusive dialogue and open for constructive feedbacks, because we will share a lot in this forum, like our experience, our work, or even our organizational or community. So we need to open for any constructive feedback so we can take it and then probably we can implement in our community. And then, of course, treat everyone equally here. And then also we need to amplify diverse voices, and we need to ensure that everyone feel this is safe and also comfortable place to, you know, to learn each other about our language or our culture or even any other things. So yeah, I think these several things that I want to highlight based on our discussion in group 2. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yep, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sami. And yeah, I love that idea. I mean, in the short time you have in a breakout room, making sure that everyone has a chance to contribute is actually, it can be quite a challenge. So I love that your group highlighted that as one thing that you'd like to commit towards trying to make sure that we do. And yeah, absolutely. You all have diverse voices here, and inshallah, yeah, we certainly hope that they'll all be heard, and great that you emphasize that as well as your group. Maybe group 4, Anjum, Mbak Anissa, Mas Darul, and Mas Mujib. Is there someone who wanted to mention one or two things? It's okay if they're similar to what the other group said, that it just reinforces it. But
we had many of the same discussions. And one really interesting thing that was discussed was unconscious bias. So just be aware, or maybe you're unaware, but maybe try to be aware of your bias that you may have. And what was interesting, it was worded in a way like of the other country. So, you know, our Indonesian brothers and sisters might think something very stereotypical of Aussies, and the other way as well. We might think something which we think is fun, but then it actually might end up being offensive. So even, for example, a title which you think you might be saying it with love, but then that person might not want to be called that, or might not want to interact in that way. So to just be extra aware that we are only meeting each other for the first time, and there's so much more to each of us. That wasn't my point, by the way. I'm just talking on their behalf, because I think you guys should talk, guys, because you said it better than me. They worded it in a really nice, mashallah, way, like in terms of that interaction, but being super self-aware as well, because we only know ourselves in this, and we're getting to know each other. So, you know, extend that patience. Yeah, I think that was really beautiful point, mashallah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I mean, look, that's part of the reason that we are all here, is because we don't understand each other perfectly already. You know, and I think that awareness of unconscious bias, and I think, as you said, Anjum, as well, realizing that we do know ourselves. So if someone else has some unconscious bias and they're saying something, for us to also communicate and say, hey, I'm sure you mean well, but I'm letting you know what that means to me. So yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point. Is there anyone from any of the other groups, room 1 or room 3, who wanted to share? Again, you're welcome to say if there were similar points or if there were any other points that we haven't mentioned. I think, yeah, we did hear maybe someone that we haven't heard from yet. Yes, silakan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, terima kasih Bu Brina. Okay, from group 3, so because we also concerned on the mental health issue, we mean that we don't know someone's trauma or someone's experience when we share about like probably intolerance act or any bad experience, and then another one like get triggering. So it is super okay to leave the room for a moment, and then please come back with a better feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that point, Mbak, because yeah, that's something that's really important to us as well as organizers. We talk about some really serious topics in this series, and that is intentional, but we also realize that for some people, yeah, absolutely, there can be trauma. So we want it to be very clear from the start that if ever there is a topic that is a bit traumatic for you, that you find difficult for one reason or another, please absolutely feel free to turn off your video, to leave the room if you need to, and to come back when you feel comfortable. The point of our program is not to not to force you to engage, but to give you the opportunity to engage. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that point, Mbak Erin. Which one? I think we've got one more group. I mean, not that you don't, not obliged, but Mbak Bani, Mas Hibat, sorry, Mbak Ismi, Juliana, Kudrat. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
There's some really great things shared that are reminders to us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I think somebody unmuted, but I'm not sure who it was. Oh, Hibat, silakan.
Actually, most of our point is already been shared. So maybe one thing that I also personally want to say about this discussion. Please be patient for each other, because especially in regards of language barrier that we have, because English is not our native language, so maybe there will be a grammatical error or some things like non-structural sentence and etc. So please be patient each other and try to know each other. Maybe that's one thing that I want to share.
Yeah, no, that's also an excellent, really great point to mention, Mas Hibat. And also related to that, other than language being, the difference in language, first language, is also that culturally in Australia, sometimes we don't always pause between speakers. Whereas culturally in Indonesia, it's much more common for someone to speak and then pause, and then that's when the next person starts speaking. So even if, all the Indonesians here have amazing English, but culturally it's much more normal to pause a bit before beginning the next person. So yeah, absolutely. That will definitely be part of the process as well, is navigating how we all contribute most comfortably to the conversation. So thank you all so much. The points that you've all mentioned are really, really valuable. I've noticed some of them in my quick glance at the spreadsheet, at the documents you put together, but I feel like you've also mentioned some that that I might not have seen. I feel like we would also, apart from, I mean, absolutely most important is your perspective. But I feel like we would also just like to say that from our perspective, a lot of what you said is what we would also like to say, which is that for us as program organizers, one of our core values through the IMEP program is respect for diversity and respect for different viewpoints. And so we as the managers are absolutely committed to respecting different points of view. We try to select people for the program who will not agree with each other all of the time. That is part of the point, to hear different perspectives, to be challenged and to think about things from a different way, from a different point of view. And we've also tried our best to do that amongst the speakers, to have people from different communities and different points of views, intentionally to try and represent different life experience, communities and perspectives. And so inshallah, we really sincerely hope that that's something that will enrich your experience on the program. We also, just to, I guess, reinforce that point, is that we want you to know that every one of you is here for a reason. Each one of you has been selected because you have something unique and valuable to contribute to the stories that we will share here. We absolutely consider you all to be important and valued members of the group. As we've said already, we are very inspired by the leadership that you've shown within your communities, and the different perspectives that you bring. So as organisers, we will do our best to respect and appreciate all of the unique contributions that you bring, and we will do everything that we can to work towards making sure that the program, inshallah, will be a safe space for everyone to share their different perspectives. And if ever anything did come up where, you know, perhaps an unconscious bias or something where you may not feel entirely comfortable with something that another delegate has said, or a speaker or one of us, we really do ask you to let us know, because that's, you know, that's something that we're absolutely happy to help support and navigate with you. But we also hope that in the main you will be comfortable to express that with each other. Yeah, so look, I think we wanted to mention those things, but the answers to your questions on those slides are absolutely the focus. This is your program. You are the ones leading this, and it's your intentions and what you need that will be at the heart of your journey together, inshallah. So yeah, we really look forward to looking through those notes a little bit more and sharing them back with you all soon, inshallah. So Rowan, I'll hand over to you.
Okay, yep. So yeah, it just falls to me to thank everyone again. And as Brenna said, thank you for willing to basically from day one be open to share something about yourself. And, you know, we've got into some quite, you know, deep points here, a lot of things to think about. And hopefully they'll stay in our minds as we go through this program together. And yeah, we as we go on this journey and we listen to each other, listen to, you know, the speakers, and yeah, learn more about the amazing diversity and cultures in each of our countries. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the program. So as Brenna has said, the sessions are all at the same time on at 4 p.m. Waktu Indonesia Barat, 5 p.m. WITA and Perth time, and 7 p.m. Sydney, Melbourne. So the next session is Tuesday afternoon, 5th of August. That'll be the first sort of program session. We have Professor Halim Rain and Dr. Susan Carland to talk to you about giving you an introduction to Islam in Australia. So please come prepared to ask questions, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you all there. So yeah, on behalf of Brynner and I and the team, Assalamu alaikum. Have a lovely Friday tomorrow.
And I think almost everyone is in the WhatsApp group now, so
Oh yes,
we can, yeah, welcome to continue any conversations that might pop up there as well.
we'll continue the discussion in in WhatsApp. I'm gonna keep referring to Slack, I know, but in WhatsApp I have to keep reminding myself. Okay, have a good evening, everyone, and see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back. Lovely to see. I hope everyone was able to have a bit of a chat there. We were also talking out here about some of the things that we really enjoyed, and I just wanted to share as well that I think the discussion about Indomaret in the chat I just found absolutely fascinating, and from I think both the speakers were talking about ways for the community to be involved in mental health. So it's not always about seeing an expensive therapist. And I feel like the Indomaret chat's so interesting because growing up
So
in Jakarta as a kid,
Indomaret is a bit like Indonesian 7-Eleven.
yes, yeah.
For
So like
Australians.
I'm thinking of like, in the middle of the night, you've got these little benches outside the 7-Eleven, and I just remember growing up in Jakarta in the 80s and 90s, you had the Ronda, which was like the Siskamling, the what do you call it? The sort of neighborhood watch, which is basically usually the men of the kind of neighborhood would sort of establish some kind of roster, and I think in the more well-off neighborhoods, it was actually they paid people to do it. But this, you'd have people out there in the middle of the night, playing chess and talking about all their problems. And anyway, so but I didn't realize it's still happening at Indomaret. So there you go. So fascinating. Anyway, that was my little sharing back. Please, I'd love to hear from what you guys were chatting about in your conversations, and if you're willing to share a little bit with the other delegates. So, choosing a room at random. Let's go room 2, maybe. We had Mbak Erin, Mas Hibat, Iman, and Mbak Ismi. I'm not sure if you're in there. And Luke, was there anything that really stood out you'd like to share back with us? Any?
Please, Sister Iman, go on.
I was going to nominate one of you. Okay, I'll go for it. So Mas Hibat mentioned how one of today's talk has inspired him to look into prophetic masculinity and that concept. And I thought that was really interesting as well as a way of addressing or providing more culturally and religiously appropriate and inspired support to Muslim men through that lens. I think that's really powerful and a potentially really effective way of connecting with Muslims and helping them with their mental health. Luke mentioned how he was astounded that Indonesia doesn't have a mental health plan like at a national level, and how we imagine that it would have significant consequences in terms of, I guess, the sort of general well-being of people, because in Australia, we have a national mental health plan, and from that, a whole range of services that are provided. Services are made more accessible. So, for example, there's a number of sessions that we have access to where we get to see a psychologist, and that's actually covered to a large degree. So it really bridges that gap and makes it easier to access in the first few instances. And Bu Erin mentioned how there can be a difference across generations in how mental health is perceived, particularly with the older generation still I guess maybe seeing that stigma in a harsher, more real light, and less likely maybe to seek support services compared to younger people. And also how technology like ChatGPT is something where I think youth in both contexts are using to get mental health support today, which isn't necessarily the best way.
but shows that people are in need of it, and still a bit hesitant to go to the places, or maybe it's just not accessible enough for them at this point in time. And so, yeah, turning to things like ChatGTP.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you. And I'm sorry we didn't get to that question. There was a question about AI, but we didn't get to it. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the prophetic masculinity, because that was something I really liked from what I think it was Ziad who mentioned that. It's before, especially with the current sort of alpha male, and we have I think, for me, I think it's a very disturbing trend among Muslims, young Muslim men, to kind of see people like Andrew Tate as like the example of masculinity. So I think there's a real space that, for this kind of prophetic masculinity, which is in touch with our emotions. Anyway, the mental health plan, very interesting. I think for our Australian delegates, sorry, I shouldn't talk this much, but one thing that's so interesting, I think we'll find, is that that we're in Australia, we're so accustomed. Actually, we're very fortunate that the government covers so much of our lives. Basically, we have free public schools, we have mental health, some provision for mental health, we have free healthcare, and Indonesia as a country doesn't have nearly as much tax income from private citizens, and that's a big difference. I think both countries can probably stand to get a bit more out of corporations than they currently do. But yeah, anyway, this is it's a structural difference, and I think it's a big thing that we can both learn about from both of our countries. And yeah, and why some things happen and don't happen. Sorry, I should shut up now. Let's go room 3. We had Sammy, Juliana. I think you were in the same building as Ziad, apparently. So Mirza and Udrat. Yeah, please go ahead. Any brief comments? Or I can just give another little khutbah.
I can have because I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
in the
Just
great.
something brief. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be.
So
Yep.
I think one of the big things we spoke about was lots of people had different understanding and things to add. So Brother Kudrat was talking about the stigma in Afghan community, which I think around mental health, which I think can be a global sort of a issue within our community. That, if you have mental health, there's something inside you that is wrong, rather than seeing it as just any other kind of illness, which I think is quite a hard thing for people who are suffering from mental health issues to open up to people, because there's just so much stigma around it. And Sister Sammy was talking about mental health challenges within sort of, especially people who have gone through disasters and climate vulnerable regions, and how to teach resilience in the face of that, which she's written some beautiful, unfortunately her connection was not great, but she's written amazing notes on it, in terms of climate resilient initiatives that incorporate psychosocial support, with community safe spaces and post-disaster recovery situation. Me personally, I guess I am considered to be a mental health worker. For those who don't know, I'm a doctor who works in an emergency department in the inner city in New South Wales. One of the things that Ziad spoke about, I don't know if you guys caught it, but currently in New South Wales, there is a significant mental health crisis because the government is undergoing arbitration with the psychiatry workforce, in terms of better pay, because we have a significant brain drain in terms of our mental health colleagues, as well as just generally for health workers in particular, because New South Wales Health is not paying us to the same degree that other states are paying us, and in some cases 30% less, considering the fact that New South Wales Health has more patients, our numbers are higher than most other states, as well as greater cost of living. So there's a big kind of government issue happening for service within New South Wales Health. And because 70% of our psychiatric colleagues have quit the public health sphere,
it's actually falling onto us as emergency doctors to actually pick up the slack, specifically people who are undergoing severe psychiatric stress in the short term. So people who come in having had attempted suicide, who are undergoing significant mental health crisis, who are actively psychotic, who have drug-induced psychosis, who are screaming, crying, having been scheduled, having gone through significant trauma, are coming to our emergency departments and having to wait hours, sometimes days, before they get seen by our mental health colleagues. The stress that it is putting on both the community as well as people who are actually frontline healthcare workers who have just gone through a significant mental health issue with COVID, is, I think, something that also needs to be accounted for. Like me personally, suffering significant burnout just in terms of the type of thing that we are dealing with day to day in our work. So that's a whole nother thing, which we kind of touch on a bit. But yes, in terms of I think for people who are also in the mental health field, the sort of moral injury that we go through in terms of the work that we do and just being bystanders. And again, so the reason why I'm here and why Ziad and I were at the same place is because I wanted to quickly just catch a little bit of Dr. Samas talk and what she talks about in terms of resilience and the collective trauma that we all are having as individuals, seeing what's happening in Palestine as well. So I think, learning resilience and dealing with our mental health is obviously such a significant issue that we all have a say in. Sorry, that was a bit of a lecture. I apologize.
No, that's great. Yeah, I'm really glad that you felt able to share some of the personal kind of pressures that you're going through as a frontline part of this system, and clearly not getting the support that you deserve and need. Absolutely. I hope those negotiations are successful. And it, just said, Australia has the money for this, and the parts of the system have it set up, but there's still not enough going to where it's needed the most. And I think Ziad said that people have said that the Australian mental health system is actually in many strong ways broken. So I think we can all learn from each other very much about how our societies work, what supports are there for individuals and communities, and how we fund things. So thank you very much for sharing that. Let's see, maybe we've got one more. I'm going to go. I'm just curious to know, in the room with Mas Fatur, Ala, at number 4, Bani, Dina, Mujib, I'm particularly curious to know if there was any more discussion about the Ruqya issue, but any other things that came up, and religious authority, and how that kind of connects with the mental health profession. Anyone willing to share or not, or it could be about another topic entirely.
I'm gonna nominate, sorry, because Brother Mujib
Please nominate.
he had a lot to share, and Sister Bunny I really liked her work around psychosocial with disaster zone. So I'll pick one of them to share because it was really interesting.
Yeah, Pak Mujib. Okay. Thank you for choosing me. I think from our breakout room discussion, we learned a lot from the presentation of our speakers today that were amazing, and to me personally, it was helping me and enlightening me, because like Mbak Bani Bacan mentioned in the breakout room, that we need to build capacity to as many as people, not only in our school, but our community, because we cannot rely on the professional, because mental health issue or social well-being are now becoming our problem in our society. Therefore, in Indonesia, lately, we got a lot of suicidal action, not only from those adults, but also children. It's because they are not capable of handling their, their emotion, their problem or inner child just because of bad parenting. So in my case, because I was in the middle of telling the story why I become why I advocate of mental health and also anti-bullying movement in my pesantren, because when I was given the mandate to become education counselor, like education bureau in my pesantren back in 2011, it was in the middle of the night. I was living in pesantren at that time because I was not married. And one night, there was a high school student in the ages of like 14 knocked my office door. And then when I opened the door, he looked scared and anxious and afraid of something. When I asked what happened with you, and then he responded while trembling, and then he said there were a group of senior student in his school, chasing after him, and then what's going on? And then he admitted me while while showing shame face that he would like to be sexually harassed. At the time, I was um I was angry, and then I was feeling pity on him, and then just stay with me in the office, and then you sleep here, you're gonna be safe. And a day after, and then in the morning, tomorrow morning, I come to the school, and then I say what happened to this student, and then actually this happened to him, and then he was several times sexually harassed, and then I was crying at the time. Why this happened in pesantren? We learn Islamic values, and then we try to respect people. But since then, I remember my past. I was in that position as well, just because I was the supervisor, the the victims of conflict tragedy in Borneo, Sampit, between the Dayak, the indigenous, and the Maduris people. The the because my father is coming from Madura Island, and then I tell to the teachers in order to educate the student not to do that. So, and then we also consult to the leader of pesantren about this case, and then we have a serious discussion about how to handle the bullying case and sexual violence in pesantren. It was normalized when I was student in my pesantren. I don't know why no one listened to me when it happened to me at the time, but when I got the position to build the rules and the regulation, I'm saying that this is not okay, and then this is serious problem in our pesantren. We need to protect those kids and their future. Since then, I was consulting to Kiai. Not our Kiai did not abandon this, but just because they didn't listen to this problem, because people try to make silent. Like Mbak Dina in our breakout room session said that mental health is like silent pandemic. It happened, but no one talk about it. So in the prevention, I make rules that bullying is not allowed, and then not only in school, but also in dormitory, because we have many thousand people, and then we cannot handle that with sort of people who have acknowledged with such a information about mental health. So I think mental health issue and then the protection of our future generation is a call to action for all of us. So from this program, I really have the hope that people, all of you guys, very cooperative and ask for collaboration. And then I believe this program will make a change in my pesantren. So the recommendation from the program of AIMEP will actually, I will be bringing to the head level, because in pesantren we have like monarchy system, the power relation, and then like when I was a student, it's very hard to reach the top, like the kiai, the pengasuh, but with my capacity right now, it is possible to talk about this. And then I also have a friend from Legislative Assembly member in Probolinggo, and also our Kiai become the region in our region and vice region in our Probolinggo and Bondowoso, the neighbor regency. I think we can make it happen so that I implemented Santun program, Santri Anti Bullying dan Perundungan. So this movement, I hope, will become the serious campaign in our community in pesantren. And then I also work with Pergunu, Nahdlatul Ulama Teachers Association, and then we committed to tackle this problem. And then probably after the IMEP and the pocket book, standardized pocket book like Mbak Di Ajeng proposed, I think this is gonna be very helpful. And guys, please let's do this. Let's do this and make it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Mujib, for sharing that. And yeah, it was really moving to hear it, and and particularly the fact that you, as a former survivor of bullying, you're breaking the cycle basically, and you're being an agent of change and it's so difficult. I can just hear that. But we are your support group. Hopefully, the IMEP, this community, this cohort, we can help in any way with resources. I'm sure everyone here is gonna try and support. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, inshallah. Yes, and we're all making dua for your success. That's all the time that we have. And thank you everyone for this discussion. It's been really interesting, and also at a very profound level. I think we've all kind of benefited and been sort of touched quite deeply, I think, by some of the stories that we've been sharing tonight. So thank you. The only thing I have to say to remind you about is Saturday is our second edition of the Delegate Spotlights. We're going to hear from the second half of you guys and your stories. So really looking forward to that. Yeah, and then it's one more week, and hopefully, and then inshallah we'll be seeing you in person. So yeah, once again, I hope everyone sort of has maybe an indoor market to go to this evening to have a chat with some trusted friends, or just a coffee shop somewhere. And yeah, hopefully we will see you all again on Saturday, inshallah. Okay, take care, everyone.